Amber, so today I'm going to be doing a project pan update. So if you stayed with me with my project pan, you know I made a whole video on my project pan fail and just talking about why it was really hard for me to do project pan. So kind of continuing with that, I want to give you an update on how much of the products that I've used, but then I want to kind of go on the things that I've learned about how to make a project pan successful. Alright, so let's go ahead and just jump into the products. First of all, my Urban Decay shadow box, which is my big thing. Alright, so here is how my shadow box is looking currently. So you can see I've really been digging out this color right here. These two bottom colors I've also made a lot of progress on, as well as these two purples here. And I've gotten some more use out of this black here, using that as a liner. So I've really been focusing on that. I should have this bottom row pretty much well used up here pretty soon. So my NARS duo is going to be hard to see because I recently went on a trip with my husband and I brought this and it cracked again, although I'd pressed it. So you can kind of see that on my bronzer, I'm getting really close. Like there's not a ton left. On the blush, I feel like there's still a ton of blush. So I'll definitely be using up this first before I use up this. So for my lipsticks, I had 4 lipsticks total and a gloss. I do not know what happened to the gloss and my lipstick in the move from camp to here. I don't know where they went. So they're still supposed to be included, but unfortunately I can't find them. So the only lipstick I have left that I'm actually using is this one. This is the Mirabella Citrus. And I feel like I've made some progress on that, but can I just tell you, I'm kind of getting sick of wearing this every day. Kind of real sick of it. And then the other two that I had, they're not MAC lipsticks, they're actually prescriptives. I was using them for a while, but honestly, I feel like they're starting to change and like be too old. And so although I initially included them, I'm not gonna use them up because I just felt like, especially on your mouth, you don't want to have something that's like old, you know, it's just like, no. So I did get a little use out of them, but just in the past few months, it's just been, so those are out. So this is my one lip product left to finish. Okay, foundation. I did have a foundation primer I used up. Then I had a, I think I had another foundation that I pretty well used up. And then my Derma Blend. This is the one I was focusing on. And this one is getting really close to used up. So hopefully within the next month, this will be gone. Okay, so another bronzer that I feel like I've made pretty good progress on is this puppy. This is the Palladio Herbal Bronzer. I got this from Sally's several years ago. And you can see it's getting major pan now, and I have been using this to warm my face pretty much every day, so that has been good. Alrighty, and then my eye bases. I definitely have made more progress on the Bad to the Bronze. I think that one was a little emptier to begin with. That's where those are at currently. This one you can tell is really just kind of smeared around the outside of it a little more versus this one's still decently full. I mean, I'd say like a quarter and then like under half. I don't feel like I've made much progress on my little shimmer powder. I have used it, but to be honest, I don't think that I've used it enough to make a noticeable dent in it. And same with this. I've used this actually quite a bit. I remember at first I wasn't using this little Salty Cosmetics at all, which is really beautiful iridescent shade. But this has been my go-to inner corner highlight because it has a little bit of purple in it. And I've been using this quite a bit, but inner corner you just don't, it's not a big place. You don't have a lot of product going there. Alrighty, so then I had 3 MAC shadows, and I would say that these two are probably about the same, but Swish is almost gone. Seriously, oh, look at this. Almost gone, like just a teensy bit left, so getting there, getting there. So I also picked 3 HD blushes. The headliner blush, which is the light pink one, nothing will come out of it and it's pretty well dried. I played with the idea of opening the lid and getting it out, but the product itself is getting dry when it comes out, so I just don't know that the product inside is going to be very good. So here's the headliner. This one, which is called Superstar, it's seriously separating in there, and I just feel like if a product's separating, it's just not worth using. So those ones are just considered to be done. Now this one is almost done. It's very dry, and when I put it on my hand, it kind of beads up into a ball, and then I have to work it into my hand and then use a stipple brush. So again, I thought about taking this out of this container, but I'm just not sure. I may open this one up because it's the least dry out of the two. This one will actually pump a little, but I Again, I'm not sure just because I don't know what the texture of the product is going to be inside. Is it going to be dry or is it going to be creamy? So I've yet to open this up, but this is still hanging on there just a little bit. So what I've had to do is kind of mini focus on certain products because it was just overwhelming to try to work on everything at once. So I've kind of just tried to focus on a few things to try to show a little more progress on some items instead of just like a tiny bit of progress on all the items. So I want to go over the list of the things that I have learned from doing this on tips on how to be more successful doing a project pan. This was my first project pan and I obviously just kind of went about it the wrong way. So just going over a few things. First of all, I would say pick 10 items or less. There's a reason why they call it Project 10 Pan. Project 15, 20 pans, they get to be too overwhelming and I feel like it's just so much going on that it's much easier to accomplish your goals if you pick 10 items or less. Next, I would say pick items from different categories. Do you have a powder? Do you have a foundation? Do you have a concealer? Do you have a mascara? Do you have a brow product? I mean, pick things from different categories so that you're not having 4 foundations to use up or 3 makeup palettes or you know, things that are all the same, because then you're like, how am I going to use up 2 different bronzers? I mean, I picked one that was lighter and one that was darker, but at the end of the day, I have 2 bronzers to use up in the same amount of time. I probably wish I would have picked things that were a little bit different from each other instead of so many repeated items. Next, pick things that are good everyday items. Now, I want to use this palette up because it had gotten destroyed a little bit from my son poking a makeup brush in it, so there was all the colors had pan hit in them, and I just wanted to go through and clean them all out. The problem is I find it really hard going back to this day by day. If I would have picked something like a Naked palette or a Lorac palette, which I don't have, but if I had one, I'd pick it. I feel like those, you have colors you go to day in, day out. Having blue and green is really hard. These ones, you know, have obviously been easier to use up. This palette has no mattes. So the versatility of this palette to use up is not quite functionable because I find myself reaching for other palettes for matte colors. Let's be honest, I have hooded eyes. The space of my eyelid is so tiny that it's going to take me a million years to finish this up if I'm only putting this on my lids. I had to get a little creative and I put some of the purple under my lash line. I've also popped the blue in the inner corners, put it on the lid. So I have found that I have made different ways to make this work, but at the same time, putting blue on the inner corners, I have to do that a lot of times to get this whole thing used up. So the practicality of this palette for Project Pan probably wasn't the best. Don't just go through your drawers, pick everything in there that has pan, hit pan on, and then say, that's my Project Pan. That's what I did. I just said, oh, I've hit pan on these 2 color tattoos, I've hit pan on this bronzer, I've hit pan on this, and I just picked out everything, and then I realized this was kind of a jumbled mess and nothing really made sense together. So make sure the things that you're picking out make sense, and you're not just saying, well, I'm gonna use this because I hit pan on it. Which goes into the next thing. Pick things that you like to wear. And sometimes you've hit pan on something, but maybe it's not something that you really want to use up or really care to use up. So pick things that you actually want to use and are willing to say, yeah, I want to use this up. And don't necessarily pick things just on price. I mean, you could have an amazing MAC shadow, but if you honestly don't like the color, why put it in a Project Pan? I mean, it doesn't even make sense because you're gonna force yourself to wear that every day and you don't even like the color. So pick things that you like that are actually flattering on you. The next thing, don't pick too many things that are the same color. I currently am trying to use up 1, 2, 3, 4 purple eyeshadows. How in the world am I gonna use up 4 purple eyeshadows? Okay, and this is the best part, okay? So again, I picked stuff I had hit pan on. This is Stars and Rockets from MAC. Beautiful shade, okay? This is Fishnet from Urban Decay. All right. Do you see what I see? They're basically the same exact color. So this Fishnet and this Stars and Rockets, wherever I put it, are basically almost dupes for each other, which if you combine these two, it's basically me using up a whole entire eyeshadow of one color. I don't know anyone who would use up a whole entire eyeshadow of one color and just, well, I took a year, but I mean, that's a lot to do. The other thing that I feel like, give yourself a reasonable amount of time. Like I gave myself a year, but I took out like 3.5, almost 4 months where I wasn't wearing makeup hardly at all. When I went to camp, I seriously was like CC cream, mascara, boom. And I find that it's really hard to do a project pan if you're not wearing makeup every day. So if you think, oh, I'm only gonna do a project pan, but I only wear makeup 3 times a week, it's gonna take you way longer. So what I found is to be focusing on this, I really have to make sure that I am wearing makeup every day. Not that I dislike wearing makeup every day. I'll still have occasional days where I'm home and I'm like giving my face a rest and, you know, taking care of myself. But I find myself more not, even if I feel like I'm not going anywhere, reaching for makeup because I want to use it up. So what I've decided to do is I have been giving myself the last final push of my project pan. So all through the month of September, I have put pretty much everything else in my collection away, and I have been focusing solely on project pan. I have been focusing so much because at the beginning of the year I told you, I had a hard time. I wasn't focused on it. I wanted to try other things. I did get some new products and I used those for about a week and 2 weeks. And then I was like, nope, gonna set these aside. And I'm gonna focus on this until the end of October. So I'm giving myself these 2 months. I'm gonna use up everything that I can. And then at the end of October, it's gonna be free game because it's gonna be fall. I wanna wear berry. I wanna wear red lips. I want to wear different things. I'm so sick of wearing gold shimmer every day with a pop of color on my waterline. I want to do something different. And yes, I have some different colors, but I have a lot of purple. And so I feel like every day it's like purple and blue with a little bit of bronze. And I have such a huge makeup collection. I mean, huge in my opinion, not like, I mean, I've seen makeup collections that are crazy huge, but I have such a vast majority of makeup that now I'm kind of neglecting because I'm focusing on this. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna give myself to the end of October, and then November, I wanna be wearing a different lip color every day. I wanna be using different foundations. I want to use different things. So that's kind of my goal. And if I don't finish it by the end of October, I'm still gonna have it in my routine. I can still like pull it out and use it, but I'm just not gonna be like limiting myself to say, this is all I'm going to use for this the rest of September and October, this is it. I'm going to just let myself use what I feel like using, and if it comes up, then it comes up. And then at the very end of the year, I will go through each product and say, okay, is this to the point where it just needs to be thrown out, or we'll go back into my collection and I'll just try to finish it up as I can, and I'll just have to decide at that point. Obviously, along the way, there's been things that I've decided have just been too old and just need to be done with. And you know, it's my project pan, so I can do that. I hope these tips were helpful for you. I hope you learned from my mistakes that, you know, more isn't always better, and just because you've hit pan on something doesn't necessarily mean you want to use up all these items at once. And I am proud of the little progress that I have made. I have tried really hard. I mean, I can't tell you how much I've been grabbing for the bronzers. Must use Laguna, must use this herbal bronzer. Come on, come on, come on. So, you know, if you stick to something, you really can make a difference. So I will probably do another project pan update. I like to do this every few months because I feel like once a month I haven't had enough progress. So I will do another project pan update in November after the end of October. I will let you guys know kind of my final, how I did, and then if nothing really happens to the end of the year, I might do end of year summary, just saying like what I'm gonna throw out, what I'm gonna keep. But other than that, I will see you guys later, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Hi, hey guys, it's Amber. So today I have a hair tutorial for you on how to get these big, sexy, voluminous rock star curls.